Some recent news coming from PayPal and Google may be the most intriguing advancement of AI in 2025. Hey, I'm Jordan Brannon, the president and co-founder of Coalition Technologies, a leading family-owned digital agency in the United States. If you're interested in content like this, covering SEO, pay-per-click, e-commerce, AI marketing, make sure that you like, you subscribe, you follow, you comment, get engaged, and we'll make sure that we keep you informed about what's happening and what we think is going to happen on all of those fronts as 2025 rolls out. Let's dive in and talk a little bit about the press release that came out on September 17th. What is that news? Why is it so important? And why is it so relevant to the areas that I focus on in terms of e-commerce and digital marketing? The press release basically said that PayPal and Google are hopping in bed together. They're forming a dynamic and big digital partnership. There was lots of corporate speak that was involved, but ultimately it was communicating this idea that Google was going to begin to use PayPal's products inside of its own products. Now, of course, when we think about Google, the first thing that we think about is the search experience. And so it's not very hard to see a future where you have a PayPal-enabled checkout experience inside of Google Shopping, and perhaps even some kind of ability to pay for services from a Google local services ad. So you can complete this sort of full funnel of discovery and purchase and payment all from Google's rails. This is really important for AI because what we've said about AI is that it's going to increasingly behave like a marketplace and less like a channel. What does that mean? The idea that AI will behave like a marketplace means that instead of using AI for discovery only, we're going to begin to use AI as if it was a full experience, beginning with discovery at the top of funnel and then working all the way down to order placement and customer service, almost like an Amazon type of experience. There's really no good reason for a successful, effective AI assistant to have to rely on your website or anybody else's website unless there is some legal barrier that comes up in the near future. Until then, I would expect that Google believes that its AI tools are effective enough when paired with their shopping data and when paired with PayPal's payment solutions that they can actually capture that entire funnel. Google will allow you to search for a brand, search for a product, search for a solution to your problem, help you navigate through an AI-driven experience to a particular product selection or service provider selection, and then make the ability to pay or purchase available without ever leaving Gemini or AI mode or whatever the label ends up being. As brands, this is a pretty big deal. PayPal and Google's partnership would mean that your website becomes a lot less relevant to the overall customer necessity of making a checkout happen. If you thought Amazon was bad, you now have a second entrant into that same sort of race, but really driven through AI. And I think that's ultimately going to be one of the biggest challenges brands have to face. They now not only have to find ways to rank their products and themselves inside of an AI with AI SEO or GEO, whatever you want to call it, but they also are going to have to find a way to acquire customer information and data so they can really build a relationship and communicate their brand value to a customer outside of just sort of the more functional filtering that happens through AI and search experiences when people are really just looking for best price, best reviewed, meets my feature requirements. So this is going to be a really big pivot, I think, for a lot of companies that have stayed off Amazon, have really focused on their own websites. They're going to now have to think about Google, which is driving a ton of traffic and a ton of revenue to them, as a marketplace. So what are some of the key takeaways from the PayPal-Google partnership and the actionable steps for you to approach now? First, you really have to make sure that Google shopping feed is on point. Make sure it is populated clearly, cleanly. You aren't misrepresenting your products at all. Make sure that you have a lot of additional fields populated in that shopping feed. Don't go for just basic basic. You want to make sure that Google knows everything about your products that you do. Also anticipate some need to opt in the near future to that checkout experience. My guess is that Google will show preference for brands and products that opt in to allowing that full checkout experience. So if you're not ready for it, if you're not paying attention for it, this could be something that's a real challenge for you. Also be ready, because Google is going to want to take a piece of that pie, and whether that's strictly through advertising fees or through some sort of affiliate type commission payment, we don't know, but there's a good chance that Google's going to want a little more change out of your pocket if they handle the checkout experience, and so you're going to have to be ready for that. Finally, again, if Google moves to become like a marketplace, you're going to have to think about how do you service those customers well, how do you get them back into your website, and you're going to have to look at some of the strategies and playbooks that have worked for Amazon brands over the year if you're not already accustomed to those things. So if all of these things are true, if this prediction is accurate or at least semi-accurate, when could it roll out? I think there's a big opportunity with Black Friday, Cyber Monday right around the corner. I think it'd be a big win for Google and for PayPal to be one of the first pairs of tech companies to come out with a real agentic shopping and commerce experience. I do think OpenAI has been planning something like this maybe this year, so we could have 2 entrants this year after having talked about it for a long time, but we're gonna have to play the wait and see game until probably mid-October, I would guess, before we really know how this will play out in 2025.